Road. I'd just like to say that this is a much anticipated session, and I've been studying assessments now for 4 months, and I believe there's several factors that are of utmost importance. One is to evaluate whether inspections are being done, because inspections are the key to everything. The second thing is that the board might ask themselves, why is the town paying so much in abatements? So far to date, as of April, we've paid about $400,000 out, and I would posit that if we could get our house in order, we could spend a little bit more on the front end and a lot less on the back end. The last message is that I think that we don't have a lot of time in order to get our house in order. I have a picture of a cartoon of the man just digging and digging and digging a hole, and he's going deeper and deeper into the hole, and we just need to dig our way out of the hole. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment this evening? Okay, with that, we will... Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
So here we are on the brink of a new tax year. Just so you all know, the FY8 assessment problems haven't been put to bed yet. There have been many appeals, and there are many pending ATV hearings. I think they go through the month of April or May. So far, $500,000, close to that, has been returned to taxpayers. And many of the ATV cases still to be heard for FY08 are significant numbers of tax dollars that residents expect to be returned to them. FY09, we just got our preliminary tax bills, and there are more errors, more problems, and more dislocations and distortions than ever before. In addition to these, it appears that there is going to be a significant tax burden shift, tens of millions of dollars to people, single-family homes of 1 acre or less. And that is something to be seen in the near future. Assessment problems have persisted for many years in Wayland, from what I understand. And as I just mentioned, they perpetuated and promulgated for the FY09 assessments. You can talk to citizens, you can talk to your neighbors. In fact, I've met a couple of your neighbors, the Board of Selectmen neighbors, at the assessor's window. You can observe and listen to what goes on there. You can find out what our reputation is at the ATV and in surrounding towns. You can attend Board of Assessor meetings. You can look at some of the minutes to see some of the issues that are coming up. At your last Board of Selectmen meeting, you got a letter, copied on a letter from the Board of Assessors from a citizen. Mr. Tickler said it was amazing, and you guys advocated for an immediate voluntary adjustment, and that's a quote. Hopefully you can help us all out on this assessment problem front, like you did that one taxpayer. It all comes down to Wayland citizens and taxpayers having the expectation for fair and equitable taxation. Everybody should be asked to pay their fair share. Some shouldn't be asked to pay far more than their fair share, and some shouldn't be allowed to get away with paying far less than their fair share and profit by tens of thousands of dollars a year. At last annual town meeting, you appropriated $40,000 for Mr. Sheid to do an evaluation of the assessment problems, long-standing assessment problems. And we're going to hear about that tonight. But his main focus was the office operation and doing inspections of homes to confirm the data on the property cards. He sent out over 500 letters, and many people were angry. Many people didn't want him or his people in their homes. 60 or so people let them into their homes. The fact that so many people didn't let him into their home and that he wasn't able to confirm their property cards says a lot. And I want you to keep that in mind when he goes over his results. The assessment problems, Ms. Reed and others have looked deeply and widely. We've gone to other towns. We've looked at the data. The problems are widespread and localized. They're systemic and random. There are problems with land values and FYR 9 especially. Large plots of land that were 25 acres with 2,200 feet of frontage last year were assessed at $4.6 million. This year are assessed at only $1 million. That $3.6 million for just that one property is going to be shifted on to the rest of us. Molly Reed told me that that very same...
Excuse me, can I spread them? We need to move on.
I just need a couple more minutes.
Okay, good.
Molly Reed said that that very same property last year, a number of appraisals were done on it, and the lowest appraisal came in at over $4 million. It's only being assessed at $1 million this year. There are 2007 sales that on which this year's assessments were based that have assessments of over $500,000 or more less than the sale price. There are many, many examples. I showed you a couple of weeks ago examples where the errors on the property card where people were only being assessed for their basement, not for their first, second, or third floor. For that particular house, it was $1 million of assessable value. That means those people get a $15,000 rebate from the town of Wayland. It was brought to the assessor's attention, and well, maybe next year we'll fix it. That's just not right. That's not fair to the other citizens in town. There have been a lack of inspections. There have been other property card errors. Many, many. These aren't isolated cases. People with, and these are easy to pick up in the MLS and other places.
Excuse me, we're going to have to ask you to wrap up a number of 5 minutes because of the long agenda.
And we're going to discuss assessment issues. So if you could please wrap up.
I think the citizens in town, there have been people who are looking out for your best interests and digging into this data and trying to figure out what's wrong with the system. It's unfortunate that the selectmen don't want to hear the rest of it, that there is many inconsistencies and inconsistent assessments in town. Fixing these problems is important. It's important in these economic times. Unlocking the value and fairly distributing the tax burden will make Wayland more affordable for everybody. And that's what should be at the core and center of your job and your hearts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, great.
This is where things get interesting because we wanted to look at these 8 communities, and I apologize that the text is so small here, but I'll try to point out the key numbers here. If you look at the 8 communities, Wayland ranks number 1 in the number of agreements that are filed and the amount of revenue that's returned to property owners. In fact, if you look at the numbers, Wayland averages, or has averaged about a 5 to 6%, I'm sorry, a 5 to 6-fold increase in the number of abatements. So, in other words, there are about 5 to 6 times as many abatements filed in Wayland as comparable communities.